digital evidence, what we call digital evidence, which would be, in this particular case, 4 body cams that I've received. There very well could be a lot more body cams that potentially could be out there, from my understanding of this. But I would let Mr. McDowell address that, or what his take is on that.
Well, I have 2 issues as well that pertain to the issue that the prosecution brought up. I feel that the discovery that I received was altered by 2 ways. One, the magistrate stated on record that there is a evidence that exists where the victim alleged that she do not wish to prosecute, however, she would like the defendant to receive help. That is nowhere in the discovery. Secondly, Mr. Chambers advised me that he received video as well as 911 calls. It's not even hinted at nowhere in the discovery the existence of this at all. Thirdly, it was a statement that was made to a officer, a lead investigator, Eric Scott. He's not even listed on the prosecutor witness list. So I feel that I had a probable cause hearing on June 23rd with Mr. Ken Wiggins, I believe his name was, where he even stated that he did not receive a discovery at that time. The prosecutor gave him discovery as well as gave me one. Through that time, I thought it was, I know I don't know the procedure in asking for, but I was under the assumption that law prescribes that the prosecutor turn over all evidence is which they use into prosecute me, so I could defend myself against those allegations. Secondly, I wanted to move forward a dismissal today on the grounds that court abuses discretion where it adjourned my preliminary examination without good cause. It is my assertion that good cause is not going to lunch when a Wayne County resident has asserted and showed up late to a hearing where she asserted being held hostage by a disillusional boyfriend in her residency. Those type of allegations, as you have made known, is very, very serious. And she could have been feared, or she could have been unwilling to even continue with a lie. Whatever the case may be, the court didn't feel the need to preserve that testimony and put it on record.
Okay, so let me interject. As it relates to the second prong of your motion, that is denied unequivocally, because the court did find good cause and would find good cause again. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're seeing from your angle, but we only have so much time in a day. We actually have it in custody that we're getting ready to pick up with right now. This isn't scheduled for right now, but it bumped over from the morning. And non-custodial matters, you may not want to hear this, but they don't take priority over custodial matters. And the court is mandated. Have you heard of a thing called the union?
No, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, there's a thing called the union that protects individuals that are employed and they are members of the union. And one of the things that it protects is that the individuals that work have a right to go get some sustenance and go to the bathroom, get a drink of water. Now, that's an interesting topic if you want to dive into that. This isn't the proper venue about the union and how it protects their employees, the court officers, the reporter, the clerk. Yeah, so I would work through lunch. In fact, I have before, and it's a problem. All of the felony judges have tried. We've tried, and it's a problem, and it's frowned upon, as you can imagine, because these individuals are protected. It's above my pay grade as to how all that works, and I can't say, you know what, Mr. McDowell's here. You don't get your lunch break today. Hold it. If you got to go to the bathroom, too bad. I don't have that capability to do that. So yes, the record should reflect again that I found good cause and would still find good cause to adjourn a non-custodial examination or even a custodial examination where we have run out of time and we must break for lunch, to obtain food, to go get a drink of water and go to the bathroom. Yes, it does rise to the level of good cause from the court's perspective, and that is actually what is mandated by the court system. So that was real easy. On the first prong that has been mentioned, Mr. Bloomers, would you care to respond about the discovery?
Yes, Judge. I did provide all the paper discovery that is in my possession to the defendant in court on the record. I would also provide it to defense. I then provided all the video to defense attorney Mr. Riggins while he was still representing Mr. McDowell. So I was under the impression that that would be turned over once that relationship severed. I have not independently provided it to Mr. McDowell, nor have we had any communication about an email address or somewhere I could send it. I also provided it to Mr. Chambers. As far as the 911 goes, I have requested it. I don't have it yet, but part of the reason we're here is because the defendant wanted this examined now. The defendant did not want an adjournment to make sure we got, any other outstanding discovery that might be dug up, which is something I'm happy to do, but we are here today in a hurry because the defendant wanted his exam as soon as possible. So the prosecution furnished all discovery in its possession at this time to defense, to two parties, for all the, well, like I said, I explained who I gave it to and when. And so that's where I'm at right now.
And was that first PCC on June 23rd?
Oh, I'd have to double check, Judge, sorry.
And can we have on record a date in which the prosecutor?
I'm sorry, hold on. Yes, the first PCC was June 23rd. And what I did was quite unheard of. Defendant was quite adamant on the record, and I accommodated beyond what the court could accommodate. I accommodated a non-custodial exam. I said it right away. This alleged incident, May 10th, 2021, and a non-custodial matter for which there was an arraignment June 23rd. That's quicker than some in-custody individuals. So my question to you is, do you want an opportunity to get from Mr. Riggins or Mr. Bloomers personally that digital discovery, or do you want to hold this examination? It's a fork in the road,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
this is where we are. The motion to dismiss is denied.
I understand that, ma'am. Yes, I would like the full discovery, and I also would like the date in which prosecutor say he turned the discovery over to Mr. Wiggins, because Mr. Wiggins filed a motion for.
Thank you.
recusal
He will
the
find
very
that
next
out.
day.
We need to select a new date for examination. It will likely be sometime in September or October. That would be soon, because we are really looking at December. The availability is December.
I'm ready to proceed if it's the date is in September, Your Honor.
It's one or the other.
I'm ready to proceed.
Okay, first witness.
Your Honor, people call Rosalind Smith.
Good afternoon. Could you please state your name for the record and spell your first and then last name?
Rosalind Smith, R-O-S-A-L-I-N-D, Smith, S-M-I-T-H.
Thank you. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're going to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Thank you. If you could make your way over here. If Mr. Bloomers, can you open that gate for her so she can get up easily? There's a few steps you need to
Thank you.
mount, and once she's settled in, you may proceed with the direct examination. And bring that microphone down towards you, thank you.
Good afternoon, Ms. Smith. Could you please state your full name for the record?
Rosalind Rochelle Smith.
Thank you. And Ms. Smith, on or about the date of June 10th, 2021, were you at the location of 2689 West Grand?
Yes,
And is that in the city of Detroit, County of Wayne?
yes,
And how do you know that address?
because I live there.
Okay. Does anyone else live there with you?
Yes,
Who lives there with you?
Stephen McDowell.
Stephen? Oh,
Stephen McDowell.
okay. And do you see Mr. McDowell here in the courtroom today?
Yes,
Could you please point to him and tell the court what he's wearing right now?
he's sitting there. He has on a gray and black sweater.
Let the record show the witness identify the person, the defendant.
The record will reflect identification of the defendant.
Okay, so you reside there, or at least on this date, you resided there with Mr. McDowell?
Correct.
And were both of you present there on that day?
Yes.
Okay, so, could you tell me what happened that day that brings you to court here?
He was holding me against my will.
Okay, he was holding you against your will. How did this start?
Well, it started, he left out in the morning happy about doing something, and he came back, different, came back angry, upset.
Okay,
And he said
So-
that,
sorry, I'm just gonna stop you. About how long was he gone when he left the house?
a couple of hours,
Okay, and do you recall about what time of day he came home?
no.
Do you remember if it was morning or afternoon or evening,
It probably was afternoon,
Okay.
midday.
midday? Okay, so he comes home and you said he was different. So what does he do when he comes home?
He asked me that we want him to snap. And I asked him, what are you talking about? He said, do you want me to snap? I said, no. He said, because you guys keep putting roadblocks in front of me every time I try to better myself. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I asked him what happened from the time he left till the time he came back. He would never tell me.
Okay, now when he said you guys, do you know who he was talking about?
He keeps referring to me as I'm not who I say I am, and that I might be working with either some government agency or police or whatever, that's whoever's out to get him.
Okay, were you working with any government agency?
No,
Okay. So, as he's saying this, what happens next?
he went and got the knife. Well, I didn't know he had it until he pulled it out of his pocket. He
Okay.
told me that
Sorry, let me just stop you there. What kind of knife was it?
it was a small paring knife.
Like a kitchen paring knife?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So what happens after he takes out the knife?
He said it's all gonna end today.
Okay,
I'm gonna prove to the world that I was right, that you're not who you say you are.
okay. And so after he says this, what does he do next?
He showed me the knife, and he said that if I was to leave, that he would punch me down, he would stab me and punch me down.
Okay. So now you say he showed you the knife. How was he holding the knife?
He had a handle, and it was like, he had put it on his leg, because he was sitting down
Okay.
in my room,
And so at that point, after he says that you can't leave, do you leave or do you try to leave?
no,
Okay, and why don't you try to leave?
because at that moment I was frightened
Okay,
that
so,
he might do what he said.
and so I just wanted, what were you thinking as this is happening, after he says this and has this knife?
Like, why are we going through this? What happened? That's all I kept asking is, what happened when you left? And until you came back, what happened?
And did you believe you were free to leave at any time?
No,
Okay, so how long does this go on for?
I'm not sure, maybe a couple of hours.
Okay, did you want to leave?
Yes, I was supposed to leave to take my niece to her graduation rehearsal that day.
Okay, and so you said this went on for a couple hours. What happens after that couple of hours passes?
Well, All I know is after the police was there surrounding the house and everything,
What? Sorry, I'm gonna just stop you there. Did you call the police?
No,
Do you know how the police got there?
yes,
How did the police? I'll ask you a different,
Objection leading.
I'm gonna ask you a different question. Were you in communication with anyone other than Mr. McDowell while this was going on?
yes.
Who were you talking to?
I was talking with my mom and my niece, they lived across the street,
Okay.
and I was also texting a crisis center
And when you say you were talking to your mom and your niece, was that in person or on the phone or?
on the phone.
Okay, so they weren't in the house?
No.
No, okay. So the police arrived, and what happens after that?
After we talked on the phone, I told my mom and my niece, I was still texting the crisis center. They wanted me to give them my information so they could contact the police for me. Well, I wouldn't do it because I was afraid that he would get hurt. So I didn't do it at that time.
Okay. Were you eventually able to leave the house?
Yes,
And how did that happen?
he got a phone call and then he jumped up and asked, was this some kind of a joke? So I sat there in my room and I looked while he was in the other room on the phone. So he gets up and he walks out and I stayed in the room because I didn't know where he was going. So I just stayed in my room.
Okay. And after you saw him leave, what did you do after that?
I stayed there for a few minutes and then I came out of the room and I walked slowly to the front of the house to see what happened. And when I seen the door was open, I looked out the window and I seen the police calling my name.
Okay. No more questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Smith, would you lie or attempt to deceive someone for a personal gain for yourself or a loved one?
No,
What is your legal residence?
Objection.
What's the objection?
Well, I would just object to ask her to put this personal information on the record.
I'll rephrase the question. Is your legal residence?
Wait, I'm sorry. Are you asking for her legal residence this very moment? Her current residence at this very moment?
No, ma'am, at the time of the
Well,
incident.
we'll make your question more clear.
I'll rephrase the question. At the time of the incident, was your legal residence 2689 West Grand Street?
on my ID, no.
Isn't your ID a form of your identification?
Yes,
So isn't that attempt to deceive the Secretary of State?
no.
Do you recall talking to an officer about this incident?
Yes,
Was it the day of the incident?
yes,
Do you recall the name of this officer?
no.
Do you recall what you told this officer?
I told him exactly what I just told the prosecutor.
Did you verbally make this statement to him or did you write it?
I verbally made the statement.
Now, you stated that, the defendant that came home different. Can you define what's different?
He seemed like he was upset and defeated
And compared to what?
to being happy when he left out.
Okay. You stated you was getting ready for a graduation.
The graduation rehearsal.
Okay, can you define getting ready?
I was gonna start taking my shower before you came in.
Can you describe that process in detail?
I would object to the relevance.
What's the relevance?
The relevant, if I get a little leeway, it would show, the defendant stated that, well, I don't want to give my train of questions away if I have a little, I'll simply rephrase the question. Prior to, well, when Mr. McDowell approached you, were you dressed?
No,
You wasn't dressed.
no, I had on a shirt, a t-shirt.
Where was your phone?
It was in my room.
Where in relation to you?
I don't remember.
Now, can you, repeat again when Mr. McDowell approached you, what happened?
He told me that, do we want to see him snap? And I asked, why are you asking me that? What do you mean? And he said, do you, answer the question, want to see me snap? And I said, no.
And then,
Hey, Judge, I'm gonna object to the question eliciting narrative. I don't want us to just repeat the entirety of the direct testimony.
truth only comes one way, Your Honor.
I didn't hear what you said.
Truth only comes one way. If it's a certain fact,
Please
it's a
proceed,
fact.
please proceed.
Okay.
And then,
Asked me where was the remote to the TV. And I said I didn't know. So we looked for the remote and we couldn't find it. And that's when you came back into the room with the knife.
so he entered your room with the knife. He didn't go get the knife.
As far as I know, you already had it. I don't know.
As far as you know, you stated he went and got the knife. And I didn't know he had it at first, so he pulled it out of his pocket.
Exactly.
So did he go get a knife or did he pull it out of his pocket?
He pulled it out of his pocket.
From sitting down?
Yes.
And where was he sitting down in your room?
On the TV stand. That's in my room.
And how far from the TV stand to where you was standing?
I was by my bedroom. The room is small.
And approximately feet, would you say was 3, 4, 5 feet away?
Maybe 3, maybe 4.
And he was sitting, were you sitting or standing?
I was standing
And at that point, do you recall where the location of your phone was?
on the side of me.
Okay, now when he pulled out a knife and showed it to you, what was your first instinct? Was it fear or was it he in his delusional state or what?
Both.
Okay. And when he pulled out the knife, what did he utter to you?
That it was going to end today.
Did you take him serious?
Yes.
And then what did you do?
I asked, why do we have to go through this? Why? What's going on? Why?
So you didn't take him serious?
Yes, I took him serious because I was scared.
So you say you fear both in the delusional state as well as fear. How did you know the purpose of that knife wasn't to hurt itself?
Objection, speculation.
Objection sustained.
You can answer.
No, oh, no, you can't. No, she can't.
Were you afraid that he was gonna hurt himself?
No, I was afraid he was gonna hurt me.
So when you're in a situation and you feel afraid someone's gonna hurt you, do you typically comply with their demand? Would you say you would typically
Objection,
comply
speculation.
how that actually happened?
You are asking if, in general, when she ever is in a situation like this, would she ever feel like she would generally comply?
No, I'm sorry, I'll rewrite the question. When you was in this situation where you feel that you were afraid, did you feel your only means was to comply?
Yes.
When did he tell you to make a phone call?
He didn't. I called my mom. I asked, could I call my mom? And he said he didn't care.
Oh, so you asked him, could you call your mom?
Yes.
So he's sitting there with a knife at his side, telling you he intends to harm you for leaving, but he gives you permission to call someone.
Yes.
And while you was placing this call, what was he doing?
Sitting there.
Did he ever get up and leave from that seat right there?
Not while I was on the phone, no.
Again, did he ever get up and leave from that seat right there?
Yes.
At what time did he get up and leave from that seat right
I don't
there?
know. I'm not sure.
You said the defendant had been acting delusional. In your, how long would you say that this character was exhibiting your opinion?
For maybe almost a year.
For almost a year.
Almost a year. That I paid attention to.
So within that year, you never had any type of fear or reluctance to check on his mental state?
Yes.
And how did you go about getting off into that?
I begged him numerous times to get help. I asked him to seek therapy. I also pulled up a list of doctors for him to pick, so he wouldn't say I had anything to do with them. And I told him I would go with him if he needed me to.
And did he?
No.
And yet you still stayed somewhere that you say is not your legal residence?
It is my residence. I pay bills there, and I have bills on me right now that's in my name that he does not pay.
But I thought you said that 2689 West Grand Street is not the address listed on your identification.
It's not.
So you're lying somewhere.
I just never changed my address when I moved from across the street.
How long has 2689 West Grand Street not been on your identification card?
4 years.
How long?
4 or 5 years, I'm not sure.
And how long would you say you lived at 2689 West Grand Street?
For the same amount of time.
How long have you known the defendant?
For 12 years.
And how long within that 12 years, how long have you and the defendant lived at this residence?
Off and on, maybe 2 years, 3 years, because he moved out and moved back several times.
Do you recall the year in which you moved into this residence with the defendant?
We object to relevance.
What's the relevance?
Excuse me?
What is the relevance?
Perjury.
Objection sustained.
Did the defendant ever touch you?
Yes,
Did the defendant touch you?
yes.
At what point did the
Please be
defendant?
more specific. You said, did the defendant ever touch her
At the-
for as long, in the past 12 years?
No, ma'am. I'll
In a
rephrase.
gentle way?
During the incident in which you just described on the 10th of June, did the defendant ever touch you?
Yes.
At what point?
When he had me walk to the front of the house to see if the police was out there, he made me sit on the floor. And then he grabbed me by my shirt and made me get up and go back to the back of the house.
And when was this?
when he walked me to the front to see was the police there. And he had me sit on the floor by the window while he looked out. And he had me get back up. He yanked me by my shirt to make me get up and walk me back to the back where the rooms were.
Are you making this story up as you go along, ma'am?
No, sir.
Okay, isn't your testimony today that the defendant came home different and that he approached you in your room some few feet away, sitting down with a knife in his pocket for a few hours till he received a phone call when he left out?
Yes.
So when at that time, when he was in your room prior to him receiving a phone call, did he lead you up to what'd you say, the front room?
Yes.
To the front room?
When he wanted to see if the police was out there.
About, from the time he sat down and pulled the knife out of his pocket, was it before or after that?
It was after.
About how long after?
I don't recall.
What made you make a phone call?
Because I feared that he was going to kill me, and I wanted to let my mom know.
So you didn't fear that you reaching out for help will trigger or cause more violence if he didn't tell you to do that?
He said he didn't care.
Is your testimony today that a man that was delusional for over a year was in your room, brandished you a knife, threatened to stab you, that he didn't care if you notified authorities or something?
He said that everybody was going to know that what he said was true. What he said about me was true, and he wanted everybody to know.
So why you didn't call 911 if you didn't care who you was calling?
Because I knew he was having a mental break, and I was fearful that he might get shot by the police. So I didn't call myself.
So you was more fear for him getting shot than fear from him stabbing you?
Both.
Were you in a very abnormal mindset at that time?
No.
You wasn't?
No.
You was clear? So in your opinion, you feel that you was acting rationally?
Yes.
Do you feel that the defendant, based upon a 12-year knowledge of him, was in a abnormal mind state?
Yes.
So would you agree that in this abnormal mindset that you didn't fully believe what he was doing, was taking him seriously?
In that mindset, I was trying to talk to him, to get him to talk to me about what happened when he came in.
That's not the question, ma'am. In the mindset in which you feel he was in, were you taking that mindset seriously?
Yes.
So you saying that was him?
I'm saying he was in a different mindset when he came home from when he left.
Again, in that mindset,
Objection, asked and answered.
Objection
she
sustained.
didn't answer.
She did answer.
When you made this phone call, what was the first thing you said to the caller who answered the phone?
I told my mom that I was letting her know that Stephen had threatened to kill me.
Threatening to kill you.
Yes.
So do you feel that telling your mom that someone is supposed to kill you, it essentially is still notifying the authorities?
Yes.
So why didn't you simply call the authorities?
Because I was hoping to talk him down before anything escalated even more.
What is your mother's name?
Catherine Smith,
And how old is Mrs. Smith?
she's 75.
So you feel a 75-year-old woman is more apt to deal with a situation in which a disillusioned man have you at knife point than the emergency service?
No.
Again, so why did you choose to call them instead of?
Objection has to be
interfere?
answered.
Objection sustained.
No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
No redirect.
Thank you. Ma'am, you may exit the courtroom.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Watch your step as you go out that gate. There's a couple steps down.
Thank you.
Any further witnesses for the prosecution? Pardon?
No further witnesses.
Mr. Smith? I'm sorry, Mr. McDowell?
Yes, Your Honor. Police Officer Eric Scott.
Is Officer Scott here?
No, Your Honor.
Officer Scott is not here. Did you subpoena him?
He's on he's lead investigator.
Did you subpoena him?
He's on the prosecutor witness list.
Did you subpoena him? The prosecutor has their own strategy as to who they call for witnesses. Did you independently subpoena him?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Do you have any other witnesses you wish to call?
Yes, ma'am. Police Officer Israel Rodriguez.
Is that officer here?
No, Your Honor.
Did you subpoena that officer to be here?
No, Your Honor. Only complaining witness.
Did you subpoena that officer to be here?
1 second. I'll rest, Your Honor.
Motion.
Your Honor, the people move to bind over on all charges.
You reserving
I am
argument?
in reserve argument.
Mr. McDowell?
I would object to binding over for, lack of evidence. It's clear that, the, alleged victim is just creating a story up as she's going along. There is no credibility whatsoever. She testified that, she lived at 2689 West Grand Street. That is not her home, it's not a legal residence. She, changed her story, at least 2 different times, adding parts on that's more convenient to her, that, taking away parts, that she felt, weren't in line to the prosecutor's, motive. And that'll be all, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. I've had an opportunity to listen to the testimony that's been provided by the prosecution by way of Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith, I believe, was very succinct in the details that she provided, and she presented herself as a credible witness. There was no inconsistency that was presented itself by way of cross-examination, and the court is satisfied that the prosecution has met their burden here to establish by a probable cause standard. Crimes were committed in the city of Detroit, county of Wayne, and you probably committed those crimes. It's a question of fact to be decided by a fact finder. Count 1, unlawful imprisonment, is going to be bound over to the circuit court for further proceedings, along with count 2, assault with a dangerous weapon, that being a kitchen knife, that the complaining witness referred to as being brandished at the time of the unlawful imprisonment. Count 3 is also going to go along for the efficient administration of justice. It is a misdemeanor, but will travel along with the felonies. The arraignment on information date is going to be July 30th, 2021 at 9 a.m. If there's any additional discovery, digital discovery or otherwise, that perhaps Mr. Riggins did not make its way from Mr. Riggins' hands to Mr. McDowell's hands, if you could first, off the record, find out a mode of communication, an email address of some sort for which to forward that digital discovery and get that to him and/or Mr. Chambers so that he is in receipt. I believe the only thing outstanding is a potential 911 call.
Excuse me, Your Honor. Where is this, is this held in the same courtroom?
Mr. Chambers is going to let you know where to go for the circuit court matter. It is not in this courtroom. It is in a higher jurisdiction. It will be a completely separate judge. It is now moved on to the circuit court for further proceedings. Okay, People versus, can we get this young man out, please?
People versus Robinson. Hey.